Hello to all, welcome back to my channel Ahamevyaham. This is your strategy consultant and life coach Prashant Upadhyay, and this is part 3 in my life coaching series on basics of Neuro Linguistic Programming. Welcome back to the basics of Neuro Linguistic Programming or NLP. Let me remind you that this is part 3 in the series. So if you have not already watched my previous 2 videos, that is part 1 and part 2 of NLP, you can always go back to my channel, check out the playlists, and even the links are given in the description below. The contents of this video are on the screen. What we are going to cover today is the principles of NLP. I'll introduce you to certain NLP tools and methods, and I will give you the 18 most powerful words that are used in NLP by most of the master practitioners as well as achievers and leaders. So it's going to be very interesting in this session. Principles of NLP. You need to understand this in order to be able to apply neuro-linguistic programming in your day-to-day life. So let's begin with trying to understand the most elemental principles of neuro-linguistic programming. Let me begin with asking you a few questions like, have you ever tried watching a movie in mute? Just think about it and answer yourself. Do you prefer watching a webinar or just listening to a radio podcast? People can have different preferences, right? So think about it for some time before we proceed further. And let me also add that are you the kind of person who likes to keep checking or asking for proof or for whatever they hear from others? Or are you the type of person who likes to simply indulge in gossip? There are different types of people, and people certainly have different types of preferences and different types of sensory perception. So that brings us to something called as the VAK model. I have covered in detail about the 5 sensory perception in my previous 2 videos. Here we'll just focus on the VAK model, which is the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic sensory perception. Now, I'm sure that everyone has one time or the other played games like Dumb Charade or Chinese Whispers. And these are games where miscommunication offers a fun element for everyone to enjoy, and including the onlookers. But in our day-to-day lives, in our routine, we need a secondary sensory confirmation along with the primary sensory input. Now, this is called as the dual encoding theory. That is to say, right now you're watching me with your eyes, that is the visual sense, and hearing me with your ears, that is the auditory sense. So here, that's why it's called as audio-visual content, right? It's not just visual or just audio. So most human beings, in fact 99.99% of human beings, their mind works based on the dual encoding theory. In order to truly understand anything that matters, any subject, anything, just about anything, you need at least inputs from 2 different senses. The most popular being the audio-visual or the visual and auditory sensory perception. So that's what is called as dual encoding theory. Now, based on the dual encoding theory, there is something called as the perception stimuli. So for you to be able to give your attention as well as grasp the subject at hand, you need minimum of 2 sensory inputs. They can be in the combination of visual plus auditory, or visual plus kinesthetic, or auditory plus kinesthetic. That's the basic perception stimuli model. So at any given point of time, we are always using at least 2 senses to formulate a perception. and each person is unique, different. And however, we can identify 6 types of people, that is 3 broad categories of people and 2 subcategories as shown on the screen. We can have people who are visual oriented. So in that category, they would pay more attention to their visual sense of perception, and the secondary perception that they would use is either the auditory or the kinesthetic. So we will have the subcategories of VA and VK. Likewise, we also have people who can be categorized as auditory. Here the primary sense of perception would be auditory, and the supporting ones could be visual or kinesthetic. Now, the last but not the least, we also have somebody, a category called as kinesthetic people. So there could be somebody whose primary mode of perception would be kinesthetic, and the secondary would be visual or auditory. Now, most of the human beings can be categorized into the first 2 types, visual or auditory. There are very few who fall in the kinesthetic category. This is just for your general information, but you need to keep in mind these 2 basic theories, the VAK model, which comprises of dual encoding theory, and the perception stimuli, and the different categories of people based on this theory, because this is how our mind works. Based on what we just discussed, there's a table given on the screen right now, which categorizes the 3 different types of people: the visual people, the auditory people, and the kinesthetic people. Based on this table, try to analyze what type of a person are you. Likewise, observe the people around you in your life. Where do they fit in? And notice the differences in their behaviors. Let me just read it out in order to summarize. The visual kind of people, I call them as the proof people. That's in a lighter sense, no offense to anybody. What do? Is they understand what they say by what they are, how they appear, and they turn words into images. Now, the primary motivation when it comes to perception is color, environment, appearances, etc. They're usually well organized in their thoughts. They will definitely have a very good aesthetic sense, because it's all about vision, right? And the kind of phrases or words they would use in their day-to-day conversation would be, I can see what you mean. You see, there's the see element there. Imagine the happiness on your face when you get it. So there's that imagination again, which is a kind of visual element. Or they might use terms like, it's a bright and sunny day. You know, they're not talking about the weather and other aspects of it. They're talking about how it looks, a bright and sunny day. So these are the visual kind of people. Now we have the auditory people, whom I call as the gossip people. Again, this is in a lighter vein, and no offense to anyone. They listen to how you say things. That is, they're more focused on your speech, on your words, rather than how you appear or how the rest of the environment is. They're very critical on how it sounds rather than what is shown. And their manner and tonality is more important than the content. So those who are really very good teachers of language, okay, or those who are in say art and music, they can be categorized primarily as auditory people, right? Because it's more about the manner and the beauty of the sound rather than the content in it. And they prefer sweet talk over the content. And they also have a good sense of rhythm and music. So some of the examples that they may use in their language is, does that ring a bell? You see, there's the sound element there. I wonder what she will say when she hears this. So they will talk about hearing, not seeing. It was music to my ears. So again, there's this sound or auditory element. So those are the auditory people. Then we have the kinesthetic people, or whom I call as the hi-fi people. You know, those who go around people and calling hi-fi or all these different kind of gestures. Again, pun intended, nothing else. They decide as per their feelings, emotions, or gut sense. So their sensory perception is a bit different from the rest of the people. They can like or dislike you instantly. They have very strong likes and dislikes, and it keeps changing. It could be instant based on the particular situation or the environment. And touch, feel, temperature, hands-on stuff, etc. That is part of their behavior. Like if they walk into your house, they would probably touch your furniture and then probably appreciate it if they like it. They just can't see and appreciate. They need to touch things. So these are the kind of people who will probably give you a hug, give a shoulder for you when you're not feeling good. So they are the kinesthetic kind of people. They prioritize action and weigh situations. So they don't give much importance to words or even what they see. They are more action oriented. They are good in athletics. They could be sports persons too. And some of the examples that they use in their day-to-day speeches, I can't seem to get a grip on it. So grip, you have that sense of touch over here, right? The action part. He rubs it the wrong way, all these are phrases and they have different meanings, but you see the words, kind of words. There's again the sense of touch there. And can you dig it? Can you dig deep into it? So again, dip, again an action-oriented verb. So they are the kinesthetic kind of people. So now that you have a basic idea of the three categories of people, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, you can start analyzing yourself as well as others around you. The theories and the categories that I mentioned just now, they form the basis of NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. And mind you, they are nowhere related to classification of people or personality types, like the Myers-Briggs type indicator. That's a different ballgame altogether. So not to mix different things here. This is purely within the scope and context of NLP. So let me introduce you to certain NLP tools and methods here. What you have on the screen is the Neuro Linguistic Programming communication model. What does this mean? How do you try to understand it? How to go about it? Well, there is a concept regarding the human attention span. Without getting into the technical details, let me tell you that the average attention span lasts for about 14 minutes. 1 and 4, right? 14 minutes. And within this time frame, our mind captures information, processes it internally by applying different filters, and creates an internal frame, a frame of reference before responding to any situation. Now, what does this mean? In simpler terms, it only means that we tend to delete something, generalize something, and distort something while absorbing information. With NLP, you can alter your filters to change your state of mind and eventually your behavior. Now, that is what is shown in the diagram on the screen right now. Suppose there is a certain external event. Now, how are you going to perceive that event? And based on your behavior, how are you going to respond it? So you need to understand the process. It's the process that is shown on the screen here. So when there is an external event, you will have certain meta programs that are already there in your mind as a result of your upbringing, conditioning, experience, etc. That makes what you are as a personality. Then you will have certain core values that you have in your life. There will be certain beliefs that you carry with you. You will have certain decisions in your life, certain ways of taking decisions or making decisions, and obviously there's a huge bag full of memories which constitute whatever you are. So keeping all of this, now how do you accommodate that external event? Through certain filters which you'll use to delete whatever you may feel is unimportant, you would generalize things, that is to say, standardize certain things, that this is how it is or this is the norm, etc., and distort certain things to suit your requirements. And that is how the external event will form an internal representation inside your mind, which will create or generate a particular state of mind, which can affect your physiology, and eventually it will form part of your behavior. Now, behavior is basically formed based on two different things, at the unconscious level as well as the conscious level. Now, this there's a lot of deep theory behind this, but to make it simpler, I can run you through a short example for this. So there's one more similar process diagram in front of you. Let us assume that you are the CEO of an organization, and there's an external event, an input of an information that has come to you that there is a certain downward trend in the market. Now, how are you going to react to it? Now, that will depend on the meta programs, behaviors, memories, etc. that you have, and the filters that you've cultivated within your mind. So in this particular case, say for example, this CEO has a meta program of born to win. So like, he is a hardcore leader, a kind of a personality. So he has this meta program that he is born to win, and the values that he has is capitalism. I hold nothing against capitalism. It's a very good tool through which we all achieve prosperity. So his core value in his life is capitalism. That's the bottom line. How to earn more, how to generate more profit for the company, organization, and the self, or even the nation for that matter. So his core value is capitalism, and he believes in the power of one. So he has a very individualistic personality. It doesn't mean that he doesn't believe in teamwork, but his core belief is the power of one, that one person can bring a lot of change in the organization, society, nation, and the world at large. And apart from this, the way he takes decisions is he's a go-getter. Like he doesn't like to procrastinate or ponder over things, doesn't take a step back. He takes decisions just like this. So he has a go-getter attitude. And the memories. Now, memories is a large thing. I mean, that's what constitutes the major part of our mind, right? But in this particular case, related to this particular event of the downward market trend, the memory that is strikes him is layoff. Probably he had a layoff back in, say, for example, 2008 recession, and of course he has struggled and he has come back on his feet and he's become the CEO of another company now, right? But the memory he has is of kind of some kind of victimization, that he lost his job during a 2008 recession. So that memory is triggered. Now, what he's going to do? He's going to delete his probably poor performance or whatever mistakes he might have done in the past. He is going to delete that information within his mind itself. You know, this is about the internal working mechanism of the mind. And he's going to generalize certain things like mass layoffs. So, and he's going to distort the achievement of others just because he has his meta program is born to win and he has a go-getter attitude, right? And so he's going to distort the achievement of other people. So how is he going to react to this particular event of downward market trend? So what will he have in his mind? His internal representation will be that I can't lose this time around, because that is triggered by the past memory of layoff. So I can't lose this time, and which will generate a particular state of mind, and that state of mind would be self-preservation. So he will do anything to win this time, and because of which he might have he could have occasional outbursts of anger, certain kind of high temper, which can affect his physiology, his physical health as well as mental health eventually. And the overall behavior that he is going to display within his organization is a certain kind of high-handedness, where he could simply hire and fire people, get irritated over smaller issues, just because of his meta programs, his core values, core beliefs, decision making ways, his previous memories, and the filters that he has in his mind based on this one particular event. Now, there are different people who can handle this in different ways, in different situations. So this is just for the sake of example to make you understand how this NLP communication model works. So how one particular event can reflect in your or affect your behavior at the conscious as well as the unconscious level. I hope that the NLP communication model is clear for you. Now, regarding the popular NLP models and tools, there are n number of things in the world. The most popular or the traditional one being the meta model, and kind of modified or modern thing is called as the Milton model. Now, since this is not a complete course in NLP, I would not go into details of it, but there are certain techniques, very popular techniques that are displayed on the screen, which are like sleight of mouth, hierarchy of ideas, screen of mind, chunking, the RESOLVE, resolve model, pacing, and the swish pattern. So these are very, very popular methods of NLP. And going beyond, this would not be possible in this short video. I will straight away come to the 18 most powerful words that you can use in your day-to-day life for betterment. Trust me, before we begin, if you are able to learn this, practice this, and master this, you will become a wordsmith. You will be able to play with your words and make your life better and even that of others. So there's a table on the screen, right, where I have listed out certain words, their categories, and their utility or the use. So I'll just read them out before trying to explain how they work. Now, the words naturally, easily, unlimited. They are basically adverbs or also can be used as adjectives. What's the utility of these words? Everything that follows these particular words is presupposed in the sentence, right? I'll walk you through an example too after this so that you can understand it better. So let us first cover what is on the screen right now. Now we have aware, realize, and experience. These are awareness words. These words start a mental process on the subject that they are used with, including your own self. Next we have before, during, after. These are called as time or number words. They give a numerical aspect to create a presupposition of your choice. And what we have next is among, expand, and beyond. These are called as spatial words, and they create relationship between things and evoke a certain kind of imagery. Then we have and, as, causes, because. These are cause and effect words. They can be used to install suggestions into the mind of the subject. And then last but not the least, we have now, stop. These are commands. They are advanced and effective version to install suggestions. So all of these bouquet of these 18 words, each of these, they have a separate utility, and if you know how to use them effectively in your communication, you will really be able to install suggestions in the mind of your audience, as well as perform self-hypnosis for betterment for your own well-being. Consider these 18 words as a quiver of arrows with you, wherein you can pick each of these words and aim at your target to hit the bullseye. So I'll walk you through an example directly. You can read out whatever is on the screen right now. This is going to teach you how to be a wordsmith. Even though I cannot see you right now, I can still feel that after watching this video, you will be easily able to realize the power of words and use this newly found awareness to expand your influence within your circles during your day-to-day life, as well as stop all of your negative habits naturally and experience what you had thought before as beyond your reach. Because NLP causes your mind to unlock unlimited resources that can place you among the best of the best. You would want to pause this, read it again, and try to understand how this is working before you move further. Words, when used in the proper way, can either make or break a situation. So this was just a simple example for you to understand and practice further. I truly want you all to use NLP and advance in life. Now, the breakup of everything in this series of words, sentences, or paragraph is shown on the screen. And if you have seen my previous two videos, I have covered something called as the 4-stage hypnotic protocol, and I used the same words in those videos without telling you about this little secret that I have used all these 18 most powerful words in that paragraph, which I have covered just now. So when you read it out once again the way it is shown on the screen, you'll realize that the first sentence invokes stage 1 of the 4-stage of hypnotic protocol, where you're trying to grab attention using the commands and visual and kinesthetic senses. Now, the second sentence takes you to the next stage, that is stage 2, where you're trying to bypass the critical factor via presupposition, where you're using adverb as well as time. That is in the second sentence. Now when you move further to the third sentence, that takes you to stage 3, where you're activating an unconscious response via awareness. That is a way of opening up the path before installing a suggestion. That's stage 3 of the hypnotic protocol. And then if you look at the fourth sentence, that takes you to stage 4, where you're leading the subject to the desired outcome via suggestion as well as command. You've added both using spatial words and cause and effect words. And then it follows further, the suggestion is reinforced using the other available words out of this bouquet of the 18 most powerful words. So if it's still not clear to you, you can always rewind, go back to the previous slide, have a look at those words. You can definitely watch my previous two videos where I've used the same words, and then come back here and try to relate to it so that you have a better and clear understanding of how to go about using these words in your day-to-day life. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. This was part 3, the concluding part of my life coaching series about basics of neuro-linguistic programming. Those who are interested to learn this at a more deeper level can always contact me. All the information is available on my channel, and let me also tell you that I myself am a neuro-linguistic programming master practitioner. So stay tuned for more. Take care of yourself. Ciao.